Hello, incredible soul. Welcome to the Embodied Woman podcast. I am Anna Fink, the wellness architect, and I want to share about my journey of returning to myself, to my devotion of focusing on my health. For the past 7 months, I've been caregiving for my mom, and she lived with me in my studio apartment here in this space for 6 months. And it was the most intense and beautiful journey and experience we shared. We've always been close, but that brought our relationship to an entirely new level of depth, of intimacy, of trust and transparency. I was tested in so many ways, sharing my bed and caregiving 24/7. It was all on me for so long that there were things that I noticed that I started to let go of with respect to my health, my radiance rituals, my preconception era. And in doing so, I was not able to show up as fully nor as powerfully for my mom, for the work I'm here to do for the world. And I felt the call to return to myself, to return to my body, to return to my radiance rituals and my devotions, because the first things that left my daily design were simple rituals that were part of my preconception era. And 1 year ago, I was the most embodied proof of concept I had ever been. I was in the body that I had been desiring. I felt strong, lean, fit, confident, healthy, radiant, vibrant in energy and vitality. And then in September, there was so much stress with respect to my mom, and she was in and out of the hospital, and I was caregiving for her, and we were not sure what was going to happen. She almost died multiple times, and it was such a deep time. There was a lot of emotion, a lot of stress, and we weren't sure where she was going to go. We thought, okay, she doesn't want to go to assisted living. I did not want to have her in assisted living because of the quality of the food. And I didn't want her to come live with me either. And she didn't want that. But it happened that she did. And it was intended to last maybe 2 nights. And it ended up lasting for 6 months. And she got to the point where she's now strong enough to live on her own. So it's been this whole journey and evolution. But the return to myself, the return to my sovereignty, my strength, my radiance rituals is what allowed me to step even more powerfully and fully into caregiving, but then also setting a boundary of what I could and could not do any longer. Having my mom in my space where I work and where I live was a lot, and I wasn't able to fully focus as much. And now I am returning to my center, returning to my body, returning to my power, returning to what I am here to do. Granted, my mom is the reason for the paving and creation of this path. And it's an invitation deeper. This experience showed me how much the embodied wellness method works, how powerful it is. And then seeing how my own body responded to the stress, to the compromised sleep, to the different challenges that presented. And to see that when I felt my best, it was because I was honing in and prioritizing myself, my radiance rituals, etc. I felt so confident. And sometimes we're tested in life. Sometimes it's like, okay, how strong are you to say no to things that are being presented to you that feel like an obligation? How strong are you in remaining connected to your priorities, to your values, to yourself? Because we can't pour from an empty cup, right? We can't pour from nothing. And life often presents us with these challenges, these moments where we're invited to rise, these invitations to rise. And it's like we get to remember that we get to always return. Every moment is a decision point, a return, an option, a point at which we can always return to ourselves, to our bodies. And our bodies are so resilient. They know when we are returning. And the symptoms, the challenges, the conditions we're experiencing are an invitation. And so the fatigue I was feeling, the inflammation I experienced, the change in my hair texture, the compromised immune system from all of the stress, the unwanted weight gain that I experienced were all signals to return. And when I started to get more lax or less disciplined in my own radiance rituals, that's when I noticed old symptoms reappearing. So our body is constantly speaking. And I want to share this with you because as the wellness architect, I have a lot figured out, yes, with respect to my health, but also know that health is not the goal. It is the gateway and it's a journey, not a destination. So I am human. I am going through human moments and experiences that test me, that challenge me, that ask me to rise. And our bodies are always, always responding to our environment. They are always speaking, and we have the option and the opportunity to always return. I finally realized the imbalance that I had been living for so long, feeling disconnected from my body, disempowered, disconnected from my power, and feeling these old parts and identities rise, where I had overgiven, overextended myself at the expense of myself. I was giving to another, literally bringing my mom back to life. Meanwhile, I was noticing how my radiance was becoming more compromised. And so being able to return to myself is now this ability to return to my purpose, to return to my potential, to return to my radiance, to my confidence, to my magnetism, and to the work I'm here to do while remaining connected to her, while still caregiving for her. It's so important that we return to ourselves because where we get lost, where we go astray, is when we leave ourselves. We lose ourselves in attempt to be there for another, in attempt to please someone else before pleasing ourselves. When we say yes to someone, even when we want to say no, and we then say no to ourselves in doing that. So I am learning right now that devotion cannot come at the expense of yourself. Devotion to another, that is. You must fully devote yourself to your health, to your well being, and then show up in service from that space. For me, I've been in the preconception era for quite some time, and this is something that is a journey. It is an era, it is an experience, and we can always return to it. The body knows and remembers. And it's not something that you just complete, it's not a checklist, it's a way of life. Your radiance era is you becoming who you're meant to be by creating that foundation of radiant health, understanding that symptoms are simply signals and codes that then can be deciphered and your body recoded for radiance. Because the way we're designed to live is not one that is a checklist. It is in alignment through choice point after choice point, a decision to return to ourself, to our center, to our power, to our truth. And when we stray from our body, we stray from our truth, it shows up in symptoms and emotions and feelings and thoughts and misalignment. We start to feel frustrated, bitter, angry, and that is an invitation to return because the return begins with you and it begins with me. And the more we return to our bodies, the more we return to our power, the more we return to our center, to our purpose. So I am in this era of returning to myself, to my strength, to my health, to my radiance rituals. And I want you to return to yourself in this time, to see this as an invitation to return to what is true to you, to return to yourself, to return to what you love, what you value. Because in choosing to return to you, you choose to return to what is true. And that is the essence of life. That is the essence of why we are here. When we stray from what's true, when we stray from ourselves, when we give to another, that is not by distraction. That is not just a failure. That is this act of care, this act of love. And we're always being asked to give to others, to be there for others. But can we do that while we're still anchored in ourselves, returning constantly, continually to ourselves, knowing that the return is a constant journey of evolution, that you get to decide moment after moment, day after day, to return to you, to your body, to what is true, to nourish yourself, to honor yourself, to be here now. So I am choosing to return. Will you choose to return with me? I can't wait to hear how this lands for you. If you're a caregiver, if you've been giving a lot of yourself, if you feel like you've run empty and you're just overextended and depleted, this is your time to return, to remember, and to rise. Hope you find this in the moment that you need it, and I am sending you so much strength and courage as you return.